We're good? Hey everybody, welcome to Live at 5. My name's Jack.
I'm Keith.
This is Keith. You guys probably know Keith. You kind of started everything, so it makes sense that they would know you.
Maybe.
Jake, are you in the shot too?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Oh, cool.
right,
Jake's in the top left corner. My
yeah,
left, your right.
You're left. Jack's left. Everyone else is right.
Yeah. So doing something a little different today. Usually we're up here, well, I'm up here and Jake's in the corner. And we have a handful of guitars that we like to talk about and go over. But today we're going to do things just a little differently. Keith is joining the show. This is what, your second Live at 5? Second or third?
Third, actually. This
Yeah.
is my third Live at 5.
There we go.
But this is my first time as a co-host.
Ooh.
So this feels much more comfortable than
There we go.
being
Yeah.
thrown in on my own.
So we've been highlighting these for a while now, but we recently got a new batch of them. These are the Island Music 15th anniversary guitars from Taylor. And today we wanted to kind of showcase and highlight them, but we wanted to do that while also discussing a few other things. As you may have noticed, all over social media, we post these videos every so often of Keith doing these 60-second lessons, and there's a lot of questions that come from them, and all kinds of cool feedback and interactions. Customers have started coming into the shop, and it's like, well, why don't you do one on this? Why don't you talk about that? So today we're going to dive into a little bit of that, but we'll also create those into future videos for more content later. But we wanted to showcase the guitars. Along with the Taylor guitars, we're both using our brand new Taylor Beacon tuners, and we're both playing through the 2-channel Circa 74 acoustic amp, also from Taylor Guitars.
It's a Taylor day.
It's a Taylor day. I'm even wearing my Taylor watch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
look at
I
that.
have an Apple Watch.
Yeah, yes. But yeah, so I don't know. How do you want to start off? You
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I'm pretty excited to do this. I think most of you know, but first and foremost, I am an avid guitar player. And I think anybody that knows me knows that that's pretty much all I think about all day. The music business is certainly a good place for me, but I am first and foremost a guitar player, and secondly, most of my career I've been a guitar educator. It's something that I've always really enjoyed and really had great success at. So we started doing these micro lessons just to kind of give people some practice inspiration, because as a guitar player, you're always looking for that inspiration, that new technique, that new lick, anything you can do to keep playing and to keep it exciting and fresh. So over the last couple weeks, I have gotten a lot of people stop me in the store and say, hey, you know what? How do you warm up your hands before you play? How do you figure out how to solo over a chord progression? Do a lesson on pentatonic blues licks. What is the harmonic minor scale used for? So I thought we would just maybe answer some of these things all at one time, and then I'll start working on some more micro lessons for them, and you guys can learn some of my licks that have done me well over the years.
And by we, he means him, because I'm just here to look good and play rhythm guitar, because I don't know half of those words.
Well, Jack is more of a solid rhythm player probably than I am. I am more of a lead and technical guy. You will probably never see me out there as a solo singer, acoustic performer, because I was not blessed with a very good singing voice, and I need someone to lay down the backing for me to play over.
I'll do rhythm and sing all day. That's
So one of the questions that I got this week was a really good one, and I don't think we spend a lot of time talking about this. The question was, what do you do to warm up before you actually start practicing? And that's an excellent question, and it's twofold, really. I have things that I do completely without the guitar, just basic stretches for my hands, just to kind of get them warmed up. Like I'll do this kind of thing, and you can kind of feel the tension in here. And then I'll do this kind of thing, which I can feel it in here. And then I'll maybe take each finger and kind of just bend it back and forth a little bit. Just something to kind of get those muscles moving, and maybe spend about 5 minutes doing that. You have to really remember that when you're going into practice, it's almost like lifting weights or training for a marathon. You don't just get out there and start running as fast as you can, right?
Yeah.
You kind of like get yourself warmed up. So I'll do stuff like that. But then once I get the guitar in my hand is kind of where the magic really comes, and you kind of get your hands synced together. You kind of get your muscles warmed up and start moving. So I always start with something really super easy, and that's just a basic 1, 2, 3, 4, just kind of note thing. And what I'll do is I'll alternate pick each note, which means I'll pick down, pick up, pick down, pick up, and then I'll just try to get my hands to sync up. And I'll always use a metronome with this just so I can be in time. So when I go jump in to jam with Jack, my timing is there, because that's always a really important part. So the first thing I'll start with is just this warm up. Super easy. So up, and then I'll go back. I want each note to be even and controlled. I want the same tone, the same consistency. Again, I want metronome-like accuracy. You can use your Taylor Beacon tuner. It's got a metronome on there. You can get like the old school pendulum style ones. You can probably get an app on your phone. But practice that with the metronome, and maybe 60 beats per minute, something fairly slow and accurate. And then I'll just take that same position, that same formation, and I'll just move up and down the fingerboard. So on. I won't bore you going all the way up the neck, but I'll normally go up to the 12th fret or so and then work my way down. So I'll spend a couple minutes doing that. Then the next thing that I like to do is I'll just take a basic scale, like my major scale formation, and I'll just start let's start in A right here on the 5th fret. And same thing, I want to alternate pick everything. And I'm trying to really sync up my picking hand with my fretting hand. So every time I move to a different note, theoretically, my pick should be moving to a different pick stroke. So they're almost happening simultaneously. So I'll take this major scale, which is just like your basic A major scale that most folks know. Okay, so I'll just do that, and then maybe I'll go to a major scale on the 5th string. I'll find a B, so here's B. And there you go, there's another one. So I'll just do that, and a lot of times I'll just climb up, A, B, C, D, E, F, all the way up, and then just start again. Then the other thing, just taking a basic strumming pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, something so easy. Again, it's just kind of like syncing everything up and getting the juices flowing. Sometimes, I hate to say it, but it can be a couple days between practice times for me. If you have a busy week or you have stuff going on and you don't get to pick up the guitar as much as you'd like to, and you feel a bit rusty, and you don't want to feel that way when you're trying to practice and kind of accelerate your playing. What do you do to warm up?
So for me, I gotta say I don't do all that. It's and I think it's cool that they're very different, because I think sometimes it's real easy to get caught in like, this is how you play guitar.
Oh sure, there's no right
way.
Yeah.
I usually find myself, and there's a lot of things that like you might notice around the store, like I play all the same things, but a lot of that's kind of like, it's things I'm comfortable with. So like, but it's like a mixture. It's also like something with usually a little strumming, flat picking pattern with some hammer-ons. I'll just mess around with that, because that's just kind of no nonsense noodling. It's in my wheelhouse. Like the first 5 frets is like definitely where I'm like
Okay.
at home. Even if capo up or anything, it's all the same thing. But it helps because mostly when I'm playing guitar, I'm out, I'm rehearsing new songs or I'm out playing shows or whatever. And a lot of that stuff really just stays right there.
Yeah.
Because I'm just chording and all that, and so it's just more hammer-ons and running.
Okay.
Just
So you're
hammer-ons,
just taking a
pull-ups,
chord and,
yeah.
and doing adding
Accenting,
little fills
little
between.
fills here and there, yeah, and it just
Okay.
kind of, it helps fill things out too. So like if you are someone who's looking into trying to play out more and do some of those shows, this. It's cool, but if you can find a way to like kind of flourish it a little bit.
Sure.
It
You're
adds,
building licks in each one of your
it adds
chords,
a little bit of
basically.
dynamics to it, and sometimes it's cool because you find little songs where you might find that like just embellishing or flat picking or like hammering on the notes within that chord end up creating something very similar to the lick from that song anyways.
Okay.
And you just find like those little noticeable things, and it just kind of fills out, and it kind of helps like that one man acoustic thing just
Sure.
sound a little
Yeah,
bit bigger.
Sure.
It's-
It doesn't sound.
and that's
so
more or
sterile.
less, that's more or less just what I do.
Okay.
Just to kind of get comfortable, like I like to take that E shape, and I like just taking that up and down and just messing with it. It's just,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's also cool because you're just playing 3 chords the whole time, but it looks way more impressive than it actually
Yeah.
is.
So what you're E, A,
Yep.
B,
Yep.
back to an octave of
Yeah.
E kind of thing.
And you do that, and it's just E, A, and B, but it's just that shape and different voicings up the neck, and everyone just, you do that, and people are like, whoa, what is?
Yeah,
just-
and it sounds like those open strings
Yeah.
sound way more exciting than just.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Okay.
It just adds a different voicing to it. But that's pretty much it. I just mess around with things like that. Sometimes if I've been working on writing a song, my warm up becomes that one part of the song that I'm trying to really nail down.
Okay.
Because then, like, it should be practiced, but like forcing it to be part of my warm up kind of helps me get more comfortable with it. So it just kind
Sure,
of,
and the repetition of it, just keep going, and that's always the thing too. Is whatever you do, make that your thing for a certain amount of time. Don't just use that warm up one time and say, "Oh man, it's too hard. I can't do it." Or if you get too good at it, come up with something more difficult. Like to just take that 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern that I just showed you. If you get too good and too proficient at that, try to make it harder. Do 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4.
yeah,
Much more challenging. You
yeah,
know? And same thing with the scales. If you feel like you're like mastering just picking through that major scale, try like some kind of sequence pattern, like
Yeah.
that's way more challenging than just running. You know,
yeah,
you never want your warm ups to be too easy and sound too good. If that's the case, they're not the right warm ups for you, maybe,
Yeah.
because they need to be challenging.
yeah. And then you might find too, like, especially like all the scales and everything you were talking to me about earlier and going through all that, like you'd be surprised how easy, like once you start going through those things, how quickly you might find like familiar riffs in like
Oh,
songs
sure,
and
yeah,
things, because that's all
sure.
they're all birthed out of. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of
So if you're playing rock, blues, folk, country, most of that music is what I would call harmonically simple. Like it's in G, D, A,
Yeah.
or E most of the time, and there's only so many chord progressions that you can use for that, and then to complement that, there's only so many scales or so many modes that you could use to complement that. In popular music, obviously, there's going to be tons of exceptions out there. And again, there is no right or wrong answer, but most music that you hear on the radio or that you go out to, the local bar or restaurant and listen to somebody play. It's fairly harmonically simple
Yeah.
music kind of thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
So another question that I got this week, speaking about that, is soloing. Like, how do you pick what notes to play over something, or is there an easy way to automatically know what to do if somebody's playing a certain chord progression? And there really is. For me, there's a couple different formations that I use and a couple different scales and modes that I use. And I would say 90% of the lead stuff that I do comes from those shapes. And you probably know the shapes. You're probably maybe just not overly comfortable in using them, or maybe you're just stuck in a rut of just one pattern kind of thing. But I'll show you kind of a couple shapes that I use. Jack, you want to play me like just a chord progression in G major, like
Yeah.
a 1-4-5 kind of thing? All right, so we're going to start with just a basic G chord progressions, like G, C, D kind of thing. The million songs start like that. So what I normally do is I'll go between the major and the minor when I'm jamming along. So we're in the key of G major. So there's my just G major scale formation. So I can use any licks out of that. Any combination of notes out of that sound great. The other one that is fairly common for like that kind of chord progression is our minor pentatonic scale, or it's referred to as your Aeolian scale or your relative minor of the key. So if we're in G, you simply count up 6 scale degrees. So G, A, B, C, D, E. Well, that's E. So I'm going to take my minor shape up here on the 12th fret, which is an E. Just down 1 octave, same scale formation. Just incorporating some open strings. And those are my 2 go-to shapes. So it's, again, that major pattern that we talked about before, which is, it's pretty easy. So I'm going to start it with my 3rd finger and go, or sorry, 3rd finger. So 3rd fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. So there's just my G major shape. My relative minor, again, count up 6 notes. I'm just going to start here on my 12th fret, which is an E, and just do our box shape. And every note in that scale sounds good against what you were doing. You can create a melody line, you can just go crazy soloing, you can do all kinds of stuff. If you want to get a little more complicated with it, start thinking about your modes. And maybe we could cover this a little bit more in depth in some 60-second lessons for all the different modal shapes. But just to give you an idea of the different flavors of modes, Jack, just play me we're going to do something is called, my friend Neil Zaza and I crafted this term, modal drone exposure is what
Modal drone exposure.
we call it. It's kind of a weird thing, but basically, Jack, I just want you to play a G chord. If you don't have somebody to jam with at home, just put on a droning G note or something on your keyboard, or go on YouTube and find something that says, just droning G note. So what I'm going to do is play different modes over top of just that one chord. So there's no chord change underneath to distract you from how the notes will sound. So here is my basic major. Real happy sounding, right? All right. So now we'll try something a little bit different. So the next mode we'll use is our Dorian, which is kind of a bluesy, jazzy sounding mode. Same thing, just give me a G. Totally different flavor,
Yeah.
totally different vibe to it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the next one that I use all the time is the Mixolydian. I love to play the Mixolydian mode. It sounds really uplifting. It sounds like the notes are soaring. It sounds super positive and happy kind of thing. So give me a G again.
Yeah.
And then the final one, we can either use our Aeolian mode, which is the modal term for just our natural minor, or we can just use our pentatonic box shape, which everybody does. And to me, that is super comfortable. It always feels like home. Every note that you hit out of that scale works perfectly over just about any chord progression in G major. And if you're, thrown into a jamming situation, always figure out the relative minor and go right to play in that pentatonic. It's so easy,
Yeah.
and then you can build from there. So that's kind of how I'll approach jamming and soloing, especially if I don't know the tune or if I'm in a jamming situation like what we were just in.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and it once you get a couple scale formations under your belt, you'll be surprised how many like epic guitar solos you can like pick out. Just like every Slash solo is a minor pentatonic. You can hear like bluesy kind of ZZ Top licks in your Dorian mode kind of thing. But it takes a while to get them all under your belt. Any other questions that we've had recently? Or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, as far as the lessons go, I think, we can touch more, maybe like hit each mode in like a different video kind of thing. And yeah, so we'll pump more of those out there.
Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
The Taylor gear for this has
Yeah.
been fantastic. This has been a lot of fun
Yeah.
using all this stuff together. I think a lot of folks have seen these before in the store, but I designed this guitar specifically for our 15th anniversary, and it is made out of old growth walnut, which is pretty cool. It's a really good tone wood. You're starting to see a lot of walnut guitars come out right now. It's also super figured,
Yeah.
and each piece is like really unique looking. So we did the walnut on these guys. We did a maple binding, which looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
To kind of keep with that earthy
Yeah.
tone to it kind of thing. We did the reflection inlays on there, smoked chrome hardware, cool Island Music, custom 15th anniversary truss rod cover. They actually come with a signed certificate by Andy Powers,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
The current CEO at Taylor and head luthier, and kind of he's really set the guitar building world on fire.
Oh, yeah.
By
It's-
changing
yeah.
bracing patterns and actually I'm not sure that we would even be using walnut for the mass production stuff until Andy came along, because that was something that he kind of instituted early on, which was kind of a cool
Yeah, it was kind of like special editions here and there.
Yeah.
It had walnut on them.
yeah.
I think we had we had a custom from Taylor years ago that had walnut on it.
Yeah, and I think they did a limited 500 series once.
Yeah.
It was really pretty all walnut guitar, but not as cool as these guitars, obviously. And then this Circa 74 amp really sounds awesome too.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal amp.
Yeah, we're both just plugged right into that. There's no DIs. We're just using the reverb on the amp, and it's super clean and super crisp, and really looks like a nice piece of furniture or something.
Yeah.
It's probably too nice to take out and gig with.
Yeah, I remember we had dinner with the Taylor guys some months ago, and I was talking. I was like, "Yeah, I've been looking at acoustic amps to have at home, like something specifically." And it's like, "There's some cool ones out there." And he just leans over. He's like, "Just wait like 4
Oh,
months."
I remember that.
Yeah,
I
he's
do,
like, "Just wait like 4 months." And then this came out, and it looks really. It sounds really good, but it looks really nice too. So it'd be a nice additive to like any music room, any studio. It's a cool conversation piece. Like it's.
And it comes with this really like old school looking TV stand kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like it's all wood, just kind of a beautiful package altogether.
Yeah.
It's not crazy priced, and it does everything a modern acoustic amp does, but just looks like a cool vintage.
Yeah.
Old
And it makes
speaker
it makes
TV or
total
something.
sense. I'd be really disappointed if Taylor, being the craftsman that they are, came out with like a really pitiful looking guitar amp. Like,
Covered in silver Tolex
Right,
or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah. No, so it's definitely been a pretty good rig. And then I can't say enough good things about these Taylor
Oh, these are phenomenal.
Beacon tuners. So these, back to the practice things. One of the really cool things about these is they have a metronome built into them. Let's see if I can get it on here. And it's just a visual aid. So I can put it on my headstock when I'm practicing and set it at 4/4, and then I can just go along with that. Oh, you got your
beeps
sound.
too,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. All right. And then it's got a flashlight on there, which is pretty neat.
Yes.
You know how to turn the flashlight on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know how to turn?
I want to see what you say.
You got to press.
You get the two buttons, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The two arrows. You press down the two arrows at the same time. You get your flashlight.
There we go.
And I'm not gonna lie. At first, when it was like a tuner with a flashlight, when am I ever gonna use that? Do you know when I use it? Every acoustic gig I have in a dark bar.
Yeah.
It comes in handy. It's like I can't, I'm trying to find stuff I've set down on the table, or
Yeah.
it comes in handy. At first, I was like, I'm not gonna have a use for that. I was wrong. It comes in handy quite a bit.
And then a countdown timer, which is kind of cool. So
I use the countdown at my gigs too.
Yeah, because if you have it's a 2-hour gig and you want to break halfway through or something like that,
Yep.
you can set it for that. Also for practicing, I always used to have a little kitchen timer back in the day, like those little egg things. or
Yeah,
whatever. And I would set it for finger exercises, 10 minutes. Warm-up exercises, or major scale exercise, 60 BPMs, 10 minutes, harmonic minor, sweep picking. 10
Yeah.
minutes. It was really kind of and I had a little notebook, but with
Yeah.
this you could just use your tuner.
And it's got the timer built into it too, which is nice because there are a couple songs you're like, well, I need to know exactly how long
Yeah.
this is. And so if you want to play the song, start the timer, play the song.
Yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
you want to know how long your set usually takes, you just start the timer. And
Yeah.
there's all kinds of cool features on there. It was definitely a great one.
And it's a super accurate tuner too, which
yeah.
is the
Yeah,
most
super
important
accurate.
part.
And the other thing we haven't even talked about, you don't need to waste batteries anymore. You just plug it in with a USB cable,
Okay.
it charges.
Okay.
And yeah,
I always
it's,
forget about that. Okay.
so it's perfect little thing to go with.
Well, thank you guys for having
Yeah.
me on. Thank you for having me as a co-host. Hopefully, I didn't stink up the joint, and I'll be invited back. It was a lot of fun.
I'll think about it.
Yeah. So, nice way to end the Thursday afternoon.
Yeah,
jamming.
cool.
So,
Yeah, good old Live at 5. Well, thank everybody for hanging out and tuning in. Whether you watch it now or watch it later, we're happy you're here. I'm Jack.
Keith?
This is Keith. Over there we got,
Hey, I'm Jake.
and it's Jake.
I'm still here.
He's still here. All right. And
all
we'll
right,
see.
Let's give Jake a strum out.
We'll see you next week.